All right. Shalom, shalom, greetings, saints. We apologize for starting a bit late. We are on now with our Christian businessman platform with a little technical challenges, but we are back now, and our Pastor Maduka is here with us, a man that has been mightily used of God in this area, and by practical realities, God has blessed him. He's a man who has sacrificed a lot. And I believe we are going to be blessed today. As you know, he has been part.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Let me apologize on behalf of our technical team that we are starting about 1 hour 21 minutes late from the time we promised to start. We're supposed to have been on, actually maybe rounding up by this time. I trust that those of you who are still waiting are still hooked up and still desiring to hear from us. You know, when there is a blessing in store, the devil always fights the issue. I think the challenges we had today is not out of naught, but something maybe is important that we will benefit from, and the enemy is fighting possibly for us not to do it. You know, it's easy to even lose your inspiration in a situation like this, but I'll do my best and remain focused and see how I can also cut it a little bit short so that we don't keep you all the day. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. It is my single honor and privilege to be with you again today, the 19th February, on the request of our precious pastor, Kwenya, to share with you how to build from small to great, advancing in recession. My responsibility with you this evening is simple: to share my 48 years experience and insight of how to lay a foundation and good work for building a sustainable business that is today known as Koschari's brand, and highlight particular ways that building visionaries and businessmen can build for a long term, particularly in a challenging local environment, terrains like Zimbabwe or Nigeria, where to an extent sometimes it looks like we are going through civil war when there is no really war going on, and position themselves for global relevancy. Are you ready for business this evening? I trust you are. And if you are, I require that you give me your undivided attention, probably in the next 60 minutes or so. And I will take your question if time permits. Time is already fast spent. I will try not to be too technical, but share few things in my humble opinion that is a prerequisite to becoming successful in business. I trust you are all as excited as I am in honoring this invitation. In telling the story of Koschari's brand, I've chosen the topic, or what you can call a title, Building from Small to Great, Advancing in Recession. As an entrepreneur doing business in Africa, particularly in my country, Nigeria, I am fortunate about the opportunity around us, from banking, automobile, telecommunication, real estate, technology, industry, and agriculture, which I believe is thriving in your country, Zimbabwe. I choose them from, I have chosen a team for this conference, which I call Accelerate the Future. It's a combination of word, excellent and accelerate. I desire that our discussion this evening center on bringing the future forward by making excellence and acceleration, the core of all our desire and execution. One thing is to be in a meeting, but another thing is what action you take after the meeting. What is the takeaway? A great meeting is not made by the eloquence of the presenter or the guest speaker. A great meeting is made by the action the individuals that attend the meeting take after the meeting is over. But as I earlier stated, in fulfilling this assignment, I am particularly delighted to speak on the topic building from small to great, advancing in recession, which in my humble opinion is building for scale. To grow our business at a high level that is difficult to attain is a subject that is dear to my heart, because as a young man, I was very ambitious. Coming from a background where nobody gave me a chance to survive. But I was hungry, truly hungry. Because of the death of my father at the age of 4, my mother was left as a single parent with 4 kids. And that was not long before the Nigeria Civil War broke out. We did not have enough to eat. My sibling and I fought over food, not meat, not protein, but carbohydrate. So to build for scale, one must develop hungry mentality. If you didn't hear anything, make a note on that. If you are not hungry, really hungry, to climb to the top against all odds. You cannot be hungry without being innovative. When you get to a point that you are starving to death, you will not just accept to die. Anything that movable can become a food for you. So to really succeed in life, that hunger mentality is a prerequisite. How hungry are you to survive? Regardless of the atmosphere, the environment, whatever life throws at you. All of this has to happen at our young age for the simple reason that you make yourself when you are young. For those of you who are message believers, the prophet to this end time generation, a man we came to know as William Branham, told us that you make yourself when you are young. Between the age of 12 to 25, that's where people, you desire to be a doctor, you desire to be a businessman, whatever aspiration you have, this is at the best time of your life to be able to make it happen. If you are a young person between the age of 25 or below, between the age of 25, joining us online, you are most welcome. If you're a person between the age of 25 and below, and you are online, you are very important for tomorrow and next year. You are very important to me as an individual. If you are below the age of 25, you are important for next year. I said it again. But if you are between the age of 25 and 40, I want you to brace up for massive change because time is running out on you. If you are over the age of 40 to 50, you are going to learn that the things you thought were settled are going to be shaken. Not in a negative way, but most probably in a positive way. But time has actually run out on you. With a vision to build an institution that will be timeless in its relevancy, Koshari's mission statement was to deliver excellent products and services to each customer, giving them the highest value for their money. And as a part of the company corporate social responsibility, it will plow back resources to the immediate and larger society, while ensuring that the employees have a sense of pride and fulfillment. As I shared in various forums and in my book, as an ambitious young man growing up, I dreamt of building an institution capable of one of the biggest companies in Nigeria, known then as Leventis or UAC. So United Africa Corporation, you know, it's a British company. That's the company I dreamed to be like when I was a young man. The level of growth God has enabled us to attain today in Koshari's can be traced to that early life dream. And it's not surprising the vision for Koshari's as an organization is to build an institution that will remain timeless in its relevancy. An interesting thing about a dream is that at first it will appear unattainable, like a castle in the sky. But experience have shown that with dogged determination, unwavering commitment, and divine providence, a lofty dream can be achieved, even in the face of daunting challenges. What is important is to the individuals to learn the patience to go through the process of becoming rich and embrace the culture of hard work and engagement in legitimate business that demand determination to achieve success. Let me explain to you how it happened. I was under 15 years when I embraced Christ as a young man. I made a commitment to the Lord Jesus Christ, and that revolutionized my life. I lived ahead of my peers in my reasoning and sense of purpose. I learned I came from somewhere and that I'm going to go back somewhere. My thinking changed from the regular things young people at the age of 14 or 15 think about. I was not 20 or 25. I was still at the age of 15 when I wrote 5 things I want to do before I attained the age of 25 years, and I put date and time on them. That's when people tell me they have dreams, I ask them, is it a written dream? Or they say, no, you know, that's what I hope to achieve. I said, no, that's a wish you have. That's not a vision. I was 15 when I wrote down that I want to get married before I turn 20 years. And some of my friends have asked me, why is it important for me? I told them the reason was simple. I always felt that if I misbehave myself, I will lose confidence. And I wanted to settle down in life. So getting married was for me, was to avoid distractions and anything that can make me to derail. That came number 1 in my list. Number 2 is that I want to have a son by 21 years. It's a dream. You write it down. And I wrote it down. I wanted to have my own car by the time I am 23 years old. I was specific, 23. I wrote it down. And I wanted to be a millionaire by 25 years. I wrote it down. And all of those things that I wrote down, as I have shared here before, I placed them on the wall of my bed. So before I go to bed, the final thing I do is to look at all of those things, go through each one of them every day. This is who I want to be. And so, this is after I've said my final prayer, then I sleep. And in my dream, really, I begin to see myself places where I am. If you watch pornography before you go to bed, or you watch home movie, where they are sucking human blood, or some horror movie, in your dream, you will wake up crying because you may think somebody has come to suck your own blood. It is the things you put in your mind that comes back to you in your dream. But these are the things that I go to bed with sleeping. So my memory and my meditations is on them. When I wake up in the morning, I will pray. And after I pray, I will look at those things again from beginning to the end, who I am, where I want to be, before I move out. So if I'm going on the street, if a young man meets me or a young lady talking to me, without he or she knowing, I would take that person and put him into those aspirations and see whether there's anything he can offer me that will corroborate to make that dream come to pass. And if he can't fit in any of those desires, I cancel the person out of my life. And that's why it's not surprising that when you have a vision, you choose your friends. Everybody cannot be your friend with a vision. If you really, because people who are going nowhere are people who want you to go with them. They are the first to tell you, let's go. And you ask them, where are we going? They have no place to go but to sit down and gossip and talk. Now listen. Doing business requires, and listen to what Sir Churchill Wilson said. This is one of the greatest British readers. He said, it is not enough that we do our best sometimes, but we have to do what is required. It's not just about doing your best, but always ask yourself, this thing you call your best, is it what is required in the circumstances? I'm not disagreeing you've not done your best, but many times your best is what is required. You need to find out what is required in each time. Doing business requires capital. Every young man or woman will tell you, if you give me $1 million, if you give me 100,
Shalom. Can you put me back and be? It's honored. Yeah. Can I be speaking?
It's connected now.
We have just connected. Okay, thank you. As I stated, I wanted to be a little bit more practical to you today. It's not so much about motivational talk, because there are so many motivational talk that makes people lazy, and they just have a mere dream that is unfounded. We are living in the day and time of so much magical things. Even in churches, you see people trying to perform magic because, people have missed the track and don't really have relationship with God and try to use magic to cover up those gaps. And people keep on, selling this thing, to other people, and people keep on, believing things that are baseless, that you cannot find foundation. Sir Winston Churchill said, it is not enough to do our best sometimes, but we have to do what is required. Doing business requires capital, and capital can be defined as resources. So one must learn how to utilize resources for sustainable development. There are three main features characterize the word resource. One, resources provide value or are seen valuable. Two, resources are scarce, that is, limitedly available. And the third, resources have potential to be depleted, meaning resources have the tendency to be used up faster than it can be replenished. These characteristics of resources are what give rise to the terms resource utilization. That in simple terms means the most efficient and effective use of available resources to achieve a desired result. That is to say, how well a person, organization, or a country, it doesn't matter. The principles are the same for individual, for organization, and for a country. How well a person, organization, or a country employ its resources to achieve a desired result or outcome. Building for scale, in my humble opinion, is building a sustainable business. The question that this thing imposes on us then is, what foundation have we laid for our business? Or what foundation are we laying to achieve scalability? The mantra in today's business is innovate or die. Innovation, on the other hand, is driven by having the right talents on board. Today, new products and services are being rendered obsolete more frequent than ever. To stay ahead, small organizations must then simply become more adventurous and entrepreneurial in thinking, more nimble in executing new strategies, and driven by entrepreneurial culture. I'm going to dwell on that entrepreneurial culture. From this premise, we highlight the following key defining control, which small businesses must imbibe early in life of the organization to achieve scalability in the future without caving in or capping their growth. These include: 1, setting a clear vision of the organization. I'll come back to it. 2, you have to be innovative. 3, objective talent and employment recruitment. You don't employ anybody. You got to find people who have what it takes to add value in your company. So it's not about our family, our brother. That's why I title it Objective Talent and Employment Recruitment. You need to headhunt the right people. 4, positive organizational structure. 5, market survey and product services. 6, strong corporate governance is a prerequisite. 7, regulatory compliance and financial accountability. And the 8, intelligent market strategy. These are prerequisites. My time with you this evening is short. So in the next 45 minutes or so, I would like to share with you what we did to turn less than $400 in 1976 to over $500 million by 2016, under 50 years. But before I proceed, I do not want you to think for one moment that Kocharis is alone in this achievement, because this is being replicated all over Africa and the world as large, and stand as a good example that you can start small and become great in the future. All that is required, again, as I stated earlier, is dogged determination with unwavering commitment in pursuit of one's dream, with a clear understanding that enduring success is not a product of chance. It's not a chance thing. It's not gambling. It's not playing Nigeria. We have some game people play in Nigeria. Every small money they have, they put it to win some lottery. It's not a product of unplanned leadership, not at all. It's a clear understanding, okay? To pursue your dream, understanding that enduring success is not a product of chance. No, it's not about unplanned leadership. Plan is a prerequisite, but it's characterized by a clear vision, a growth strategy actualized through a prepared, structured organization and effective leadership. There are 2 powers in life every one of us has to deal with every day, and I want you to write them down. The 2 powers in life that you cannot control and you cannot stop are time and change. You cannot control time, neither can you control change. This is going to happen to you every day. You have no choice in it. I'm speaking to you now. Some of you may have known and heard that my wife, who a young lady I met at the tender age of 17 years and got married to her by when I was 19 years plus. I would have lived for 43 years, built this institution, called Charities Together. Went to be with the Lord on 27th of November. Something we never planned. It's a change that devastated my life. But I have a choice to make, to accept this challenge, embrace it, and play this game with pain where the devil, and score the right point even after this challenge. Or I can allow myself to be depressed and possibly live the same time with her. It's a choices you have to make. We never sat down to agree that that is what is going to happen. But life throws things to you. Challenges will come to you. You don't have control. Listen to me, young people that are listening to me this evening. Life is full of challenges, and you can never control any of the challenges life is going to throw at you. Things will happen that you never planned for and you never wish that they will happen. Winter doesn't need to take permission from you to come. It will come. So life is about managing changes and challenges. You got to manage your time and the changes that comes to you. Knowing that you cannot deal winter. If you deal winter to say, I don't like you winter because you didn't tell me when you are coming, winter will kill you. But if you take one clothes and allow winter season to pass and put on one clothes for 4 months, after winter, you make the best season of life. So every one of us go through those 4 seasons. We go through the winter of our life. We go through the autumn, or what we call spring, of our life. Then we go through summer with hot July sun, scorching and making you sweat. Then after that, there is a fall. The trees start dropping, the weather start getting cold, giving you a signal that winter is on the way. But that's not the end of life. So you got to manage your season and time, and that's what life is all about. You cannot control time, neither can you control changes. Secondly, the 2 most difficult components to manage in life are time and change. Whether you like it or not, we are in the year 2022. You are 1 year older from what you used to be. Some of you, time is running out on you. Thirdly, a man or a woman's life consists of how some of you, he or she manages is running out on you and change. Some of you, a man or a woman's life consists of social media. He or she manages is running out on you. Never change value to your life. Some of you, a man or a woman's life consists of social media. You knew all the best soccer players in the world. You know the wing they play. You know their first name and their last name. You know the name of their coach. What has this contributed to your life? How has this moved you forward? And you stay in social media, spending endless time acquiring this information, having them at the top of your head. 4th point is very important. The key to your future. Remember, what I told you we are going to be doing today is how to bring your future forward. Accelerate. Excellent. To bring the future forward is successful management of time and change. You can achieve by 25 years what some other people will achieve at 45 or 50, because you brought the future forward by excellent living. You accelerate your future, you bring it forward rather than waiting for it, and most probably time running out of you. You cannot stop time and you cannot stop change. So all you can do with them is to manage them, and you become what you are based on how you manage both of them. I want to simplify life for you this evening and let you know that every one of us are simply a product of how we use our time and how we manage the changes we've been through so far. And what we become in 5 or 10 years from now will be as a result of how we manage time and change. You can never enter into a future that you do not create. You can make a note of that and say that Brother Cosma says so. You can never walk into success by accident. It doesn't matter how much lottery you won. If you didn't plan them for sustainable growth, it will vanish, it will deplete. Whether in the spiritual or in the natural realm, you never enter into a future by accident. We require strategic thinking. Please listen to me this evening. Because if you are going on a journey and someone is already ahead of you, how do you catch up if you travel by the same means with that person? Unless the person decides to stop. If that person is ahead of you with 10 steps, and each step you take, the person take the next step, there is no way you will ever catch up with him, with that person. This is why you need innovation to develop a new way of doing things outside of the norm. So here is where strategic and critical thinking become important, as it is not enough to desire to be successful. I've never seen anyone that do not wish or desire to be successful, because there is no action required to wish to be successful. So wishing or desiring success is not enough, but the action that you take after that. Now listen, the US Secretary of State, the US 56th Secretary of State, Colin Powell, said, a dream does not become a reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. It is easy to say, I want to be rich, but that will not make you rich. There are many people who have been saying it, and they've never moved any step forward. I want to be a doctor can never make you a doctor. That's a good step where to start. But only saying you want to be a doctor can never make you a doctor. Critical thinking comes in when the decision is made. I need to read medicine. You begin to speak and have conversation with yourself. I need to get good grade in specific area of a subject. 1, I need A1 in English. It's a prerequisite. 2, I need A1 in mathematics. It's a prerequisite. 3, I need a good grade in biology, etc. Then you are still having conversation with yourself. You own up to your limits and weaknesses on the subject, but you resolve that you will make good grade, and you decide that you are going to spend 1 or 2 hours each day for those subjects. Then you think, I need a coach on areas that I am not very certain to make a good grade. These are particular things you do with critical thinking. It is not about having a flat thinking. I should be rich. Critical thinking will ask you, how? You must resolve what must be, what you need to do to get there. Because critical thinking makes you take the best decision in life. You must interrogate yourself. That is what I said at the beginning, that it all starts from your thinking process. It is not about flat thinking. I want to be rich. The question comes to you again, how? Or what? I want to be a doctor. It's something you have to decode. You need to decode this being rich, this being a doctor. You need to decode it to a level you can analytically respond to and take action. And that is what planning is all about. Listen to me. 1 or 10 of you listening to me this evening that will take action may be among the future billionaires others would like to listen to in no distant time from now, subject to your thinking process and the action you take after this meeting. First, start in your mind how you process information, the belief we have in ourselves. It's not so much about the school we attend or the number of business schools we attended and how prestigious they were. It is therefore a pleasure for me to be speaking to you this evening, not from an intellectual conception, but sharing my 48 years practical things that I did to get to where I am and what I'm telling you. What you must know about business, brothers and sisters, and ladies and gentlemen. I can teach on this subsection, I can teach on this section a lot of technical things. But doing business, about doing business, but to be honest with you, by experience, I discovered that it is not so much about what was taught in business school or seminar that makes you successful. And very many will disagree with me on that. Success in business is not taught in a college. Most of us, because they never really teach you in college how to make money. All they teach you is get a job, get a good grade, and get a job. How to, work. And nothing is wrong about working for people because I have employees. But if you want to know the truth, very hard truth, salary is a good medicine for poverty, but it doesn't cure it. It's like somebody who is diabetic. If you stay in your medication, you will live the rest of your life, but you are fundamentally, you are diabetic. You need a cure. The cure is to create wealth. And to create wealth, you have a price to pay. It doesn't come by wishing or desiring. Most of us successful business people are usually people that drop out of school. Because what makes a successful businessman cannot be taught and then you wonder, why are you here and what are we doing this evening? For some of you who may have attended some of the world most prestigious business school to obtain a degree for leadership in business and administration courses. You may have noticed that some of the professors that were lecturing you on economics will walk into the class rather ordinary by the way they dress. That unusually catches your attention. If you observe some of them when they are driving to school, they may be driving in a car that looks like Volkswagen Beetle or something that is comparable to that, a modern vehicle of today. Listening to him say something like, today we are going to learn how to become a millionaire. And you may ask yourself, because you wouldn't have the courage to ask the professor himself, are you a millionaire? I am sure if you dare ask him, he will tell you no. But the decision is yours to either drop that class or still sit there and listen to a man who will be telling you how to proceed to a journey that he has never experienced himself. So what is the missing link then? The professor knows what to do, but he did not take action, or that he is afraid to take action. Intellectually, he is sound, but there is something he is lacking. The ability to take action is what he is. The ability to take action to make what he is teaching you work for himself. As a result, he lacked wisdom, which is application of knowledge. And this was what I meant by saying that the most successful people did not become rich based on what they were taught in business school or in seminary, but the action they took. If you have read the book of Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, successful people do not only have inquisitive mind, but they are analytically and also thinking critically. According to Robert Kiyosaki, he concluded that his teacher was fake because he brought up a subject that he asked the teacher if he, Robert Kiyosaki, will ever need it or use it, and went ahead to ask the teacher if he had experimented or used the subject, and he answered no. He engaged him further by asking, why do you then teach it? And the teacher responded that it was part of the curriculum that their government designed for them to teach. Let me therefore say that most successful business people in the world did not learn business in classroom. Rather, many of them begin by studying books, begin to think about information that they receive. It was a personal thing to them, because whether it is the African richest man in Nigeria called Aliko Dangote, Tony Elumelu, Femi Otedola, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, or Michael Jordan, etc. All of the people that you may identify with being successful people, you may be surprised that nothing that they do was ever learned in seminary. You may need to get the book written by Miles Monroe, entitled The Spirit of Leadership, because that book dealt with the missing link between the followers and the leaders. According to Miles Monroe, it took him 30 years of research and study to discover what the missing link is that separates the followers from the leaders, or successful business person from a fallen business It was what he called attitude. I will begin to conclude so you can ask me a question by saying attitude is a result of belief system that come from conviction about yourself and about your ability. Leadership is only born when a person discovers the truth about themselves and they believe in that truth and commit themselves to it, to commit themselves to that truth. That's why I said that it requires commitment. It requires commitment to your vision. Therefore, learning the principle of management, learning the techniques of writing a business plan, learning organizational skill will never make you successful in leadership or in business, because business is a result of discovery of a passion that was deposited in you from birth, or should I say before your birth, and you were born to manifest it. Listen to me. Business is not about selling things. Business is about selling yourself to the world. True businessmen and women, historically, those who have become successful and who we admire, they become successful not because of techniques, not because of courses in college. They became successful because they discovered an idea that became a passion, that created a commitment, that produced a vision that they pursue. And they pursue that vision at all costs. You can write this down. These people are not motivated by fear. You can quote me, Cosmas Maduka. As a Nigerian, listen, I told you you require 3 things to succeed in life: vision, faith, and courage. It's not an absence of fear, but ability to act in the face of danger. Nobody will believe in you unless you believe in yourself. But you can never build reputation on what you are going to do. You build reputation by the things you are doing. I still thank God for my mother, who introduced me to myself by convincing me to believe in myself as I believe in God. So I grew up as a young man with an optimism that no door closes before me. And when people tell me the door is closing, I tell them when I get there it will open. And I walk like a mad person facing a door that is closed. 1 minute to that door, it opens. I've seen it repeated several times in my life. You require faith, you require courage. Even when God asked Joshua to get into the water, Jordan, the river was still there and Joshua were putting his leg. If he had waited for it to open, maybe he would have run back. But the river divided into 2. As a Nigerian businessman who has gone through the thick and thin of tough business environment, and I have shared particular ideas, principles, and approaches to developing businessman's attitude, skill, and knowledge of entrepreneurial development, not just in Nigeria, but in the rest of the developing economies. But before I start to conclude this paper, let me give you my definition of entrepreneurship in our company. 1, an entrepreneur has to set a good goal for himself. Get you back to vision or dream. He has to set a goal for himself, and his goal should be pretty high, not so goal. They said, aim to the sky, aim to the moon or star, If you fall in the. So you're aiming. Even our prophet told us that we should not believe small things, to aim to the highest thing that ever exists. It's not being overambitious. There's nothing like that. 2, an entrepreneur has to be a workaholic. He has to work more than others. I met a young man who told me I wanted to be a businessman, and I engaged him in conversation. Tell me honestly, what is your motive? Why did you want to be a businessman? Tell me what you want to accomplish. He said one of the things he wants to do is that so that, he doesn't want this work, he'd stay 8 o'clock, so that by 4, he decide to go home. So I said, why not take a teaching job? Because you cannot be a businessman. A businessman is workaholic. People will hate you for working hard, but you are almost like possessed with the spirit of giving things your best. 3, an entrepreneur has to accept responsibility. The most deceptive thing that has plagued our society and the world at large is irresponsibility. People transfer blames. People don't want to take responsibility for anything. If you are a leader and if you want to be a leader, leaders speak differently. Entrepreneurs speak differently. And that's why if you listen to me this evening, I didn't say anything without giving an apology to you that we started this meeting late. A leader cannot come in a meeting and say, okay, the traffic was too much and that's why we are just arriving now. You don't need to say that. All you need to do is so simple. If you want to talk like a leader, just say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry. I left my home late, and that's why I'm arriving here late. I apologize that we're starting the meeting late. That's the language of a leader. There's no excuses. You don't give yourself excuses. Leaders are people who take responsibility. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to accept responsibility. He has to feel responsible for his own destiny. He has to accept that it is nobody else than himself, and definitely not the state, who is responsible for his or her failure. Don't blame your economic situation to the government of Zimbabwe. Accept that it is you that has not looked inward to see an opportunity where you are. Don't abrogate what you need to do. Don't transfer your future in another person's hand. Nobody is responsible. It may be a hard language if I tell you that wherever you find yourself today is as a result of decisions and choices you made in life. 4, an entrepreneur aims for perfection. So position is not accepted. He is never happy with normal results, but he wants to achieve a perfect result. That is the spirit and mentality of an entrepreneur. 5, an entrepreneur is capable to organize. This is very important because that's where many educated people miss it. They asked Henry Ford, who is an educated man. And Henry Ford said that an educated man or a woman is one who can organize his thoughts into productivity. If you have nothing to show for the school you went to. You are a great intellectual. There are many intellectual fools, people who speak grammar because they went to school, but they have no substance, something to back up that grammar, because they cannot organize their thoughts into productivity. An entrepreneur reflects every day what he is doing and how he is doing his work. He has to identify when it is time to make a change in his organization and his processes, etc. 6, an entrepreneur is profit-driven and hates to lose money. And that's the most important one. He works hard for his money. He wants to gain from it and preserve it. 7, an entrepreneur is an optimist. You cannot be a pessimistic entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is convinced that he lives in the best time of his life, always. You can't complain, oh, the economy is bad, the exchange rate has fallen. No, whatever happened excites you, because while other people are seeing darkness, you are seeing opportunity in the midst of all the crisis, because crisis is opportunity. I will show you as we progress. No matter, because we are living in a crisis time, but billionaires are being created in this time of crisis. You cannot be a pessimistic entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is convinced that he lives in the best time of his life. That is very critical point, because the Nigeria economy, and I think as well as Zimbabwe economy, has been very pessimistic for years. So we in Coscharis believe that we live in the best time ever. We in Coscharis put special effort on fostering our employees to think entrepreneurial and to educate entrepreneurship in our company. And to point this out again, we believe that we have more entrepreneurs than others. And this might be our little recipe of our current success. And in the same way, we use entrepreneurship to develop our company in Nigeria and other West Africa where we do business. We select only entrepreneurs for being our dealers and partners. And that represents the biggest asset we have in our brand. When in our company, if they get you, interview you, and when you finish, finally, if you are coming on a management level, I still take you on for interview. And I ask 1 or 2 questions, simple questions. The first thing I'm looking for is a man, a woman with a passion, that is hungry, that is ready to die for something. I will not give you any subject. I will ask you to just tell me, choose a subject that motivates you, a subject you are very interested in, and write an essay on it and give it to me. I want to feel that fire burning in you. If I cannot see it, regrettably, you will not get the job. We hire entrepreneurs to work for us because we're also going to educate you as an entrepreneur. We're going to expose you to take decisions for us with entrepreneurial spirit. Coscharis Group, a case study. To bring this home on a personal note, Coscharis Group driving force has always revolved around resource utilization and sustainability. Sustainability development Our mission statement reads, Coscharis will deliver excellent products and services to our customers, giving them the highest value for their money. So in other words, we are letting people know that their interest matters more to us. It's not the profit we are making. We are not going to, any service we are giving you, you are getting value for your money. Giving them the highest value for their money, and we contribute to societal development and progress by exploring and exploiting technological innovation, plowing back resources for the society, and providing fulfillment and a sense of pride in its employee, and will ensure the sustenance of this value by operating with increasing profit and waxing stronger and bigger into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this has always been our mission statement, built around the need of sustainability, touching on three major pillars, namely mentioned earlier: environmental, social, and economic. Coscharis did not attain the heights we are overnight, but through determination, understanding of what our vision is, to build an institution that will be timeless in its relevance, where we wanted to be, and applying resources available to us at our disposal in a sustainable manner. Coscharis has evolved over the years, going through major stages to ensure that every stage resources available are being prudently managed and deployed in line with our objective. A key resource that has formed the foundation of our survival has sustained growth of the Coscharis Group in the attempt of achieving the above stated mission statement can be defined in one word. If you want to find one word to define the power and the revolving force behind what we want to shape, in one word, you describe it as credibility. Incidentally, this is one resource that has remained very scarce in our operating environment, and I can say in all the African continent. With its reputation and years of displaying utmost credibility with its counterpart within the automotive parts industry, in 1998, it was not surprising that BMW, in search of more credible and capable counterpart, entrusted Coscharis with the sole franchise of BMW. The objective of all the above action is to ensure that the business is operated in such a way that is not just profitable today, but to continue to be profitable in future, even after my time. My desire is to go against the trend of rampant failure of family businesses immediately after the exit of the founder, and that can only be achieved through optimal and sustainable utilization of resources available to me. As the founder CEO of the Coscharis Group, because of the vision of Coscharis to be an institution that stayed relevant in the marketplace, the need for diversification could not be overemphasized. However, diversification required capital. It is within this understanding that we created a culture of reinvesting back into the business, while always on the lookout of other business opportunities. In every business, human capital resources play a very key role in terms of asset to the business, as I alluded earlier, talent hunting, getting the right employees in the place of work. Thus, we later discovered the gap that needed to be filled with external professionals to effectively manage the resources of the group while maintaining good relationship between salespeople who grew the business to where it was, and creating an institution that will continue to stand the test of time. From a sustainable development perspective, what we achieved as a business was creation of sustainable value by identifying and acquiring growth for the business. We took a business that was highly unregulated with competition into all sorts of, from non-genuine parts to counterfeit, and created structure and value. We created a business where serious-minded individuals could join and earn a living for themselves and provide for their family. And today, the Kostaris Group has over 26 branches nationwide in Nigeria, with presence in 4 African countries, namely Ghana, Gabon, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone. Kostaris comprises of 9 subsidiaries and associated companies. From a sustainable development perspective, in 1993, Kostaris has diversified into new areas of business, namely Kostaris Technologies, a company specialized in assembling and distribution of reliable hardware service solutions. Kostaris Medical, a professional services to healthcare, providing medical equipment, consultancy, pharmaceutical, and diagnostic solutions. Kostaris Beverages, a production company specialized in bottling and distribution of non-alcoholic beverages, bottled water, yogurt, etc. Kostaris Mobility, a transport, logistic, and outsourcing company, representing one of the world's best transport logistic company in Nigeria. Kostaris Properties, a real estate company involved in commercial and residential housing development. Kostaris Motor, a dominant player in auto industry, warehousing 7 world-class brands under her roof. Kostaris Motor Assembly, with that Nigeria become the only country outside of South Africa where Ford Ranger are assembled in Nigeria, including Renault brands. Kostaris Farm, recently, in line with our company strategy to play in the food industry, we have invested heavily in agriculture across the rice value chain and having attracted private equity investment company, Sahel Capital, to grow the business. Kostaris Ghana, Kostaris Ivory Coast, Kostaris Sierra Leone, etc. As I begin to close, let me say that there is no doubt that we are living in a turbulent time, because we have discussion today said growing business in a difficult terrain, or in an atmosphere that is not conducive. That's what the thing we are doing, building from small to great, advancing in recession. So we are living in a time of recession. There is a critical, difficult time that we are going to. So how do you grow in recession? No doubt we are living in a turbulent time. The earth is filled with fear, anxiety, and confusion. Everybody is delusional right now. No one knows what to do. Not the US, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and other nations of the world. The recent US election that passed showed the world another part of United States of America that the world did not know before. The United Nations has been unusually quiet during the peak of COVID pandemic. Did you notice? The United Nations were not saying anything. Why? They are confused. The second problem is that the government are confused and bankrupt of ideas. No government knows what to do. Our government and most world leaders try to make a speech, but they end up saying nothing. Many of them simply said, we have problems, and some don't even understand we do. In other words, no one knows what to do. I mean, the people we have voted to power to guide us through life are currently bankrupt of ideas. The third thought I think is important is that the economy are in disintegration. The global system is falling apart and no one knows what to do. Few months ago, the United States were pumping hundreds of billions of US dollars in their system. The first tranche under Donald Trump was 2.2 trillion. And the second was 448 billion US dollars. And the third was 1.8 trillion. I am not sure, but it appears that the current president, Joe Biden, have done his own too. But the previous ones were done under the former president, Donald Trump. And the person in charge, the Secretary of Department of Finance, simply said, we hope this work. Trillions and hundreds of billions of dollars. We in Nigeria need only 10% of it to fix all the problem in our country. And probably 2% of it will solve all Zimbabweans' problem. They still don't know what is going to happen. But this is not the reason why we are here this evening, but only a sign of the hour that we are living. I want you to note this, that if there is any best way to describe 2020 and 2021, it should be called a change. It's the time the world is evolving. And I think there is no better description for 2020, 2021 than the word change. It's a year that introduced change, and that change has already begun. What then do we do as Christians, God's children, in this hour? What we must know about business, brothers and sisters. I could teach in this section a lot of technical things, but business, as I stated before, doing business, I discovered that success in business cannot be taught in a business section. Business cannot be taught in a college. Successful business people are usually people who drop out of school, who make business successful. What makes business successful cannot be taught in most of the in school. And most of the people that lead in business are people who have an attitude mindset. That's why those of us who do not go to college but have discovered the secret of the right mental attitude could hire those of you who have been to the best business school and college to work for us. It is therefore not a time for you to give up. Let me try to conclude this. Whatever, and I said, some of you have tried to do business before and it didn't work. Some of you are trying business now and it's not doing too well. And some of you are about an attempt to give up some kind of business. Whatever stage you are at, remember that your business will be tested for authenticity. Every successful business in the world has a history of going through some stress or some tests. That's normal. That may be what you are going through now. It is therefore not a time for you to give up. Stay there with your dream and continue to think outside of the box. Be innovative. Simply do things differently than other people are doing it. It will not take long. You will begin to see the result of your innovative action. Let me begin to end. Shakespeare said, say something I thought we should be interested in. Shakespeare said these words. He said, sweet are the users of adversity. What a contrast. Sweet are the users of adversity. Take adversity and make good use of it. Because adversity is nothing but a refining fire that burns out the impurities in our life. And that was why Job said, when I am tried, I shall come forth like gold purified. You can make a note on that. And that's a deep stuff that Shakespeare says. You know, Shakespeare wrote some things that we are still trying to figure out. But this one is very important. He said, sweet are the users of adversity. Notice the word used, sweet are the users of adversity. He says, when adversity comes, use it, make it sweet. It sounds like Apostle Paul. Let me tell you, people are going to become wealthy during this crisis that we are going through. And I advise you, don't panic, plan. Don't be traumatized. Think. We have over 5 billion cells in our brain. If there is a silver line to a bad time, this is it. When facing severe challenge, your mind is normally at its sharpest. This is no time to panic, because brain kicks in a situation like this. There is something else I thought was interesting. That human seldom have created something of lasting value unless they were trying or unless they were tried or hurted. Crisis is the incubator of creativity. When you are broke, you will invent a way to eat. That's why God brings crisis. What are you saying, Brother Maduka? Yes, God created the crisis in Abraham's life. After he and his wife waited for 25 years, waiting for a child. And when that child was born, God said, kill him. Go and sacrifice that child to me. God wanted Abraham to be bankrupt or declare, get into bankruptcy. This is what he hoped for. So many of you are afraid of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is part of the package. Don't be afraid of it. Take a step of faith and move out. The person talking to you have been bankrupt before, but that's not my end. That's not my story. I've taken scale, went to the market and carried it. It's a situation to refine you, to prepare you. Every trial and challenges of your life is going to get the best out of you. Crisis is incubator of creativity. When you are broke, you will invent a way to eat. That's why God brings crisis. God doesn't just allow it, he brings it just to make you grow mentally and psychologically, emotionally, to make us expand We need to go through trials. Here is another thing that I thought is interesting. There are two tragedies to a crisis. One, the withdrawing of generosity. These are two things you shouldn't do, because that is what happens when crisis comes. People start withdrawing generosity. If time permits, I'll give you a testimony. When I lost so much amount of money, it was like the world come to an end for me. That was like the most unusual time you could have done something for somebody. I've never said this publicly, but I can tell you, that was when one of my friends, a minister, a man that helped me at my younger age in Christianity, were struggling and found a place where he wanted to use a building that was being sold. I provided the full amount of money to buy him a church building, a house, and whatever. It's the most unlikely time you would think somebody is going to do something. Another was we stop giving. Number two, we compromise our civility, decency, and value. We start doing all kind of unethical things to make it. Two things happen in a crisis. One, people withdrew generosity. Two, they literally compromise their civility, decency, and value. He said people start cheating, stealing things from their job, stealing, selling their bodies, selling their values, sleeping with someone just to get some money. In other words, when crisis comes, people do these two dangerous things. They stop giving, they compromise their values. God forbid that we, as God's children, have to do that. We should never stop giving in the midst of crisis. Never sell our value to make it. Gray is not a substitute for black or white. That's a good one for you to remember for this program. When you talk about ethics and value, gray is not a substitute. It is neither yes nor no, right or wrong, because under pressure, people start getting to gray. You know, I need some kickback because things are tough. I got to put some things away, you know, part the invoice for me. This stuff starts going on. People start getting nervous and they start doing stuff. They start living in the gray and easily forget that character. And easily forget that cheaters never win. Crisis come to mature us. In the book of James chapter 1, consider it pure joy. He said, my brethren, whenever you face trial of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develop perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature, complete, not lacking anything. The real product of testing and trial is maturity. If you think you are mature, we are going to find out now. Maturity is measured by your response to crisis. Here are some things to really quickly take note of. One, a true leadership is tested in crisis. If you say you are in charge of your family, we are going to find out now. You said you are in charge of your business. We are going to find out now. If you say you are in charge of your country, we are going to find out now. Whatever you think you are in charge of, crisis will test it. Number two, crisis is incubator for leadership development. Leaders don't develop in good time, they develop under pressure. So crisis come to shaping our leadership. Number three, crisis is the source of growth and development. You never grow in good time, but you are forced to grow under pressure. That's why people love their comfort zone, but that's not a growing place. You need to go through the growing phase. Number four, crisis places demand on hidden potential. What you are capable of being that you have never been. If we are sitting in this room and I tell you you can jump up as a sister and climb on top of this platform, you tell me, no, there's no spring in your leg. God forbid, let 1,500 lions enter this room. Spring will grow in your leg. You will see your potential that you never realize you have. So, crisis places demand on your hidden potential. There is an adrenaline in you that need to be manifested. When you are under pressure, you discover areas of your life you never know exist. You become ingenuine, and your ingenuity kicks in. You become industrious. You become a thinker. In another word, crisis taps your reserve potential. Number five, crisis reveal our true belief and conviction. You never know how much you believe until you are subjected to a trial. Your prophet went through it. As a matter of fact, you never believe anything that is not tested. You only assuming you believe things until that thing is subjected to test. Belief system. Crisis come to prove to you whether you believe or not. Do you know that God created the crisis? Crisis is the cardinal of creativity. In other words, crises are the incubator of innovation. You become innovative when you are in crisis. You know, innovation to me is going to be the greatest product of this crisis. Innovation is the greatest benefit for this world crisis today. Will be innovation. We never innovate in good time. Crisis makes us innovative. Now listen to me in the next 15 minutes, so we bring this to close. I lost my father at a tender age of 4, but my mother helped me to introduce me to myself. And that is what to do in the next few minutes, and allow you to ask me a question. Do you believe that every one of you under my voice this evening was born to lead? I am introducing you to yourself that you are a leader. Any one of you hearing me. And some people get confused. How can all of us be a leader? The crisis that comes in your mind is what tradition has done to you. Every one of us is a leader. Wait until you discover your personal leadership. A good example of what I had in mind is a lion. And those of you in Zim will appreciate it better than some people who never see them. Its knowledge that is the king of jungle make it disregard whatever it's looking at, regardless of its size. The lion filter all these things through its belief system instead of looking at the physical and powerful big elephant. If it is in the afternoon, lion is seeing a lunch if he sees elephant. If it is in the night, he's looking at a dinner, because his belief system makes, as the king of the jungle, reduces the power and size of elephant to a lunch or to a dinner. And that is what I call the eyes of faith. Look at problem. William Branham said, the spiritual faith only recognizes the word of God, which is your belief, which is a believer thinking theater. He is not controlled, the lion, by the things he's looking at, rather by what he's seeing through the eyes of faith. It is not the things that we are looking at this that matters, but the way we see them. You can make a note on that. Most barriers in life are man-made, and most often we are the man that made them. And what you do, I mean by that. Most of the mountains in our life are actually low hills that we turn to become a mountain through our minds. It is therefore not about the things that happen to you that matter, but the things that happen in you. Not the things that happen in your environment or the circumstances that surround you, but the way you interpret them will determine how you will respond to them. The big mountains in our life are usually determined by how we interpret them, how we interpret what happened around us. I will end this little exhortation or teaching telling you from my personal experience that you require three things in life to succeed, which I've mentioned before. And I want you to make a note of them: vision, faith, and courage. One, vision. Vision is more important than leadership. People think that leadership is important, but vision is more important than leadership, because vision is what creates leaders. What makes you a leader is the fact that you can see a future and bring it forward. You can see a future than it is. You can see a future that is better than the present. So the present is not what controls you, but that future, that better future you saw is what you ride upon. There are two animals that God identified himself with. Both of them are leaders. One is ego with the vision, the eye of faith, and the other is lion. I just wonder why God did this, but he created them so he knows their quality and their character. I love both of them. I always love ego and lion. Come to my office and you will see lion, ego all over the places in my house. If you look behind me here, that's a lion. If I have something to move things around, I will show you an ego in some other place. I love these two animals, these two creatures, because they represent me. I love both of them. I always love ego and lion. Come to my office. In my home, you will see lions, you will see ego all over the places. In my home, lions and ego. The last time I was in Zimbabwe was in December 2019 with my late wife. We went to Mosingo And when we got there, we went there for missionary work, but I never left without taking time to go and watch lions. Brother Pastor, our precious brother, that hosted me, Pastor Moshidi, took me to go see lion, and we spent time watching them. I go there to spend time all day to watch lion. My wife and I were there. We spent time. I see them behave and act. They remind me of leadership. As a matter of fact, Jesus said he is the Lion of Judah, not the puppy or a dog. The Lion of Judah, not the monkey or the raccoon. God identified himself as a lion. You better study lion, because God identified with the lion and he ruled the universe. That means the lion has some quality that he wants you to study. Here is something about lion that is very strange. Number one, the lion is not the tallest animal in the jungle. Of course, the giraffe is there. What do they call this one that have the long neck? How tall he is. He is not the strongest. He is not the biggest. He is not the most powerful. He is not the most intelligent. Yet, he is the leader. Wherever you are hearing me, wherever you are under my voice, tell your neighbor, somebody with you, there is hope for you. Say it like you mean it. Tell him there is hope for him. The lion has done, I'll just give you an example. The lion is not the most tallest, it's not the most strongest, it's not the most biggest, it's not the most powerful, it's not the most intelligent, but yet he is the leader. What the lion has done, he has cancelled all of your excuses for not being a leader. The color of your skin does not inhibit you from being a leader. His intelligence, his strength, there are so many animals in the jungle that are more powerful than the lion. Stronger, taller, bigger, more intelligent, and yet lion eats all of them for lunch or dinner. As a matter of fact, when the lion see an elephant, he simply think lunch. Why? He is lion, the leader, because of what? Attitude. All of these are product of vision. You can write that down. One time, United President said, nothing can stop a man with the right mental attitude. It was Thomas Jefferson that says it. But nothing can help a man or a woman with the wrong mental attitude. The prophet for this end time, William Branham, said, the right mental attitude towards every promised word of God will bring it to come to pass. Why? Attitude comes from your belief system and it produces confidence. The lion believes he can eat an elephant. That belief becomes the source of his confidence, and so he moves towards the elephant. The elephant is 50 times more powerful. Please study and find out if this is true. 100 times bigger 80 times more intelligent and 60 lunch. Why? Because the lion's attitude reduces elephant to a male. That is why he is the leader. Leadership is 80%. Leadership is 80%. Mentality, just a minute. Leadership is 80%. Leadership is 80%. Mental attitude. Leadership is 80% mental attitude. That's the correct statement. I almost misread it. Let me repeat that again. Leadership is 80% mental attitude, and it's only 20% skill. It's not your skill that makes you a leader. It's your mental attitude. And that is why skillful people work for those of us who have the right mental attitude. When you look at your problem, how do you respond to them? You get a bill that needs to be paid. You have demands that you cannot meet. This is an elephant. How do a leader look at these things? They see them differently. A lion look at elephant and he simply think one word: lunch. The thinking controls the action of the creature. That's why he is dangerous. What makes Cosmos Maduka dangerous is my thinking. I tell people, I don't even believe I have a competitor, because the only man I consider a competitor is the person that thinks like me. If you cannot think like me, I never consider you a competitor in anything I'm doing. Even in business, I don't believe I have a competitor. If I tell my story, you will know that I am a miracle. I wasn't always like this. I was changed when I got new information about myself from my manufacturer. When my mother introduced me to myself and told me that God created me to be different and that nobody would take my place, that is what happened to me. I was able to think like a lion. When you see a lion at the back of an elephant, you will see a leader in action. He is looking with the eyes of faith. But wait a minute, that was a monster. He said, I don't care. A leader is fearless because of his knowledge. There's something in a leader that knows what makes him fearless. So, leadership does not get its power from his muscle. It gets its power from its belief. You will never be a leader until you change the way you believe, because your belief system produces your philosophy. So your leadership see through their eyes. So leaders don't see through their eyes. Leaders don't see through their eyes. They see through their belief. Your eyes says an elephant. Your belief says it is a lunch. You see through your belief instead of running away from it. You run towards it. Some leaders respond. Some leaders respond based on their belief system. So to a leader, life is simply what he believes it is. How do you get to think like that? I am going to show you right now. I am pleased that you really, I'm going to show you now. And I am pleased that you are really, make sure you are listening to me. Please make sure you are really listening to me, because this is more important than keeping your job. As a matter of fact, your job is not your work. I've said this time and over. Your job is what they pay you to do, but your work is what you were born to do. You may never become successful from your job. Why? Your job is not permanent. So you cannot trust that. You need to find your work. Your work is yours. Your job is your skill. Your work is your gift. You can learn a skill, but you are born with your gift, and they cannot take it from you. If they fire you and they can fire you, your gift goes with you. They can't take it from you. I mean, I am unemployable. Why? I have deployed myself. I am speaking to you this evening to deploy yourself. If you deploy yourself, you will never be in crisis anymore financially in your life. Leadership begins with thinking. So, my question is, what is your philosophy of leadership? Why don't you believe that you can own a company? It's my question. Why is the first thing that you are looking for is job instead of looking for a business? There are several questions, but why? Why don't you go to college to study the area that guarantee? Why do you go to college to study the area that guarantee employment rather than guarantee deployment? Because your hard drive is stopped. Tradition has reduced you to go to school and get a job. I sit with head of states and governors, most of them folks who run their countries and states are sick, just like some of us. They don't know what they do with their countries. Power does not make you smart. It exposes your ignorance if you do not know why you have it. Let me quickly just conclude this by giving you God's philosophy on leadership. I am going back to the beginning where it all began, Genesis 1. It's really about us. Verse 26 said, "Then God said, let us make a species called man in our own image, according to our likeness." And he tells us why. He says, let them have dominion over fish of the sea, bird of the air, over cattle and over animals of the field, over all the growing creeping things, and over every creeping things on the ground. Now, the word, this statement is very important. And this verse is the secret of your life, the secret to your greatness and leadership. This is where I found it in here. That is why we said that faith is a revelation. It is a different type of eyes than what you have physically. And that leads me to the third point, courage. Courage is to take God by his word. What is courage? Courage is not an absence of fear. is the ability to act in the face of danger. You derive your courage from your belief system. You have already judged God to be faithful and that he cannot violate his promises to you. Therefore, you step out in faith. That's how lion attack elephant, hippos, and all these other animals that is 50 times bigger than it. The knowledge of who he is where he derives his strength and courage from. It is not who you are or what you can do, but what God can do through us that matter. When we come into obedience and take him by his word, how do you think and how do you get to think the way you think? And that's what you and what made you think what you think right now. Where did you get this attitude from? The history that creates you is still with you. And even though you wear different clothes, drive different cars, is still the same person, because somehow our history is so heavy, it's tough to cut loose. Some of us still apologize for being successful. We feel ashamed to be in charge. It is amazing, see, when you still carry your history, you are afraid to be successful because you may lose your friends who are going nowhere. Your attitude is so powerful. It creates your atmosphere. It's also a source of your natural lifestyle. If you are going to change your life, you are going to change your attitude. Now, here is the bottom line, and we close. Write this down. Your belief system is the source of your attitude. I know you are wondering, thinking, Dr. Maduka, tell us 10 things about the principle of success and leadership. No, that's not what you need first. You need to change the way you think first, because your thinking is your philosophy that destroys the way you treat people in your department at work or in your current job. It's what has reduced you to who you are. Until your thinking change, you are contaminated in your leadership. Why? Because unless your mind is changed, you will never become a leader. Leaders, ladies and gentlemen, let me put it in this way. Attitude determines your limitation. Your attitude will determine your attitude. Some people say your attitude will determine your attitude. How far you can go, and that is true, which means that your belief system will determine how far you will go. You can never live beyond your attitude, your belief system. And that's why your life is what you think it should be, and exactly what it is. The prophet of God said that our attitude will determine not just who we are today, but our eternal destination. Attitude is the manifestation of your personal philosophy. And that's why this section of teaching is dealing with discovering your personal leadership first. Then you can talk about other people. Write this down. Philosophy is the product of your idea. And that is why I started this section out with the question, do you believe that every one of you is a leader? You have problem with that, I understand, because the culture does not allow you to do so. Could you imagine you going to work tomorrow and telling your boss, I am a leader too? Do you have problem with that? People tell me that they have PhD in physics, and I laugh at them. And I'll simply say, does that make you more than a human being? What does that mean? That doesn't make you better than me. Your education does not change your human value. You are still equal as human. And I do know something that you do not know. So be careful. In conclusion, we didn't become who we are in Costaris overnight. The journey has been long and hard. Just like you, many times we were tempted to quit, as some of you have been tried to do business before and it didn't work out well. And some of you are trying to do business now, but it's not doing too well. And some of you are about and being attempted to throw in towel. Whatever stage you are, remember that your business will be tested for authenticity. Every successful business in the world has a history of going through some stress or some tests. That's normal, and that's why, and that's what you are going through now. It is therefore not a time to give up. Stay there with your dream. Continue to think outside of the box. I've said that before. Be innovative. Simply do things differently than others. It will not be long. You will get the benefit of it. Our time of test, we did not quit because we have a clear vision. We persistently wither all the odds. Ours, therefore, is a story of resistance, focus, implementation of our agreed objective and desire to build a business that will be that is not only able to compete today, but will also be there in the future, providing for the next generation. I want to provoke every one of you that has gathered this evening or this night and that are under my voice to set goals for yourself and your organization. Let today be a new beginning. Let us go back to work with a clear vision. Have a simple and comprehensive business plan. Build a team that can think and live long. God bless you for listening to me. I hope I did a justice to your expectation, and we need to hear you now, Pastor, if you are still hearing me, to take a question if there is any. Thank you for listening to me. God bless you.
Amen. Amen. Shalom, shalom. Is my voice on?
Can you move the speaker? Let's see whether they can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can we switch? Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Is my audio good? Yes. Shalom, shalom. Esh. Hello.
Are you still listening to me? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, yes. Hello. Gosh, can you write to him that I'm hearing but I have a problem? Hello, hello, are you hearing me? Shalom, shalom. Thank you very much, Doc, for the...
I still cannot hear you. I still cannot hear you. So,
Okay, is my sound okay? My sound is okay? Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now.
Thank you very much. I think that was a very comprehensive one. We learned a lot. Some of the points that I picked were on the entrepreneurship culture that we cultivate. We have a okay. You can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Thank you, thank you. Right. I was saying we learned a lot, and it was a very comprehensive one. We heard about the entrepreneurship culture, about the clear vision, innovation, positive organizational structure, and the financial accountability. We heard about the vision, faith, and courage. There were a lot of take-home statements.
continue. So let's wrap up. Maybe in future we fix the problem.
Yeah, we were blessed and enjoyed the session.
Okay.
And there were two questions that were due for a technical challenge. Maybe I would say, I would say maybe we can catch it somewhere today.
Okay.
So, make it part 2. Because I think technical challenge with my own side. Leadership, 80% is mental attitude, 20% is skill.
That's right.
Leadership. You mentioned something about your tone, not your way. All those habits we enjoyed a lot. But now I think I've tried to stretch another habit that will help me now.
Okay.
Because I believe the same from YouTube and Facebook and rest. It's a question from Maduka.
Yeah.
It's a question from Maduka. The question from Maduka is, how can you start small?
Go ahead.
The question from Maduka is of the question from Maduka is, how can you start small in a volatile environment and manage to win? Starting small in a volatile environment and manage to win against, and I think the volatile that it means is the economic climate. How can you start small in a volatile environment and still manage to win? The question from Namibia is, how can you, is this one now good? The question from Namibia is, as a Christian entrepreneur, how are you able to win with customers who will compete with your other values as a Christian? So those are the two questions that are there. How are you able to start small in a volatile environment? You actually mentioned it, addressed part of it, but this is a question that is already tied. So you maybe look at that one. All right, they are saying on Facebook and YouTube the audio is good, but on Zoom that's where the audio is bad. So I will communicate with you through this one as we saw that one.
Okay.
Now apologies for the technical stuff. There was a really
Yeah.
but as we saying that ability, crisis is the incubator of innovation.
That's right.
We should take this crisis.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So those are the two questions. As a Christian entrepreneur, how do you manage to navigate when you are dealing with people who also compromise your values as a Christian? And how can you start small and manage in a volatile environment where maybe legislations are passed or that can affect your stability, or maybe where the economic aspect, economic climate? Those are the two questions. Over to you, Doc.
Okay, let's make it simple. There's nowhere in life Nowhere in life on this earth, starting business is easy. If you know, because sometimes we ask these questions as if maybe we think it's more difficult to start in Africa. It's more easy to start in America or UK. No, there's nowhere. If you really want to put it in that way, I will tell you, starting business from scratch is much easier in a third world country than it is in a developing economy. But still, people are starting new business every day, everywhere in the world. If you go to places like United States of America, if you start a company in 5 years, if you don't close, you don't run bankruptcy, people will send you a congratulatory message for surviving the first 5 years. And that's why businesses that have thrived 10, 15, 20 years have been tested for authenticity and people beginning to place value to you. So the point I'm saying is that there's no environment that is heaven on earth. Let me put it in a very way you can understand it. Jesus told us in the book of Matthew or Mark, he said, Luke, he said, I send you like sheep among the wolves. That scripture, I struggle with it. Sheep is the food of the wolf. How do you send us like sheep in the midst of the wolf? When I talk about strategy in life, this is what happens everywhere. A lion gets up in the morning and calls all his children and said, children, we need to eat today. If you look at the way antelopes are jumping and running today, if we are not careful, we will die out of hunger. We need to agree what to do to pursue them. And that's why if you see lion hunting, if you see them, they have strategy. The female lion is the first one that attack before the men come. And the antelope will call his children in the morning and say, children, we are going out today to go and look for food because we can't stay back home. If we stay back home, hungry will kill us. But if we go out to go and look food, we are exposing ourselves because we can be food for lion. If we look at the way lion is happening today, if we are not careful, we will end up in their stomach. The worst thing you do to yourself is to do nothing because of the fear of adversity and what you are going to meet. So if for the fear that antelope will end up in the stomach of a lion and they decide to say, we are not going anywhere, well, let's stay in this safety zone, we will remain in our home. He will still die out of hunger. Hunger will still kill him. So, life provides all of us a risk. There's no effort in the competitive atmosphere. And that's why you need courage to dare it. Go out there. I will advocate, if it's possible, is you need a mentor or you need an apprenticeship. Don't jump into something you do not know. If you have not swum before, don't say, by faith, I will jump inside swimming pool because you will get drowned. You need to get somebody to teach you how to swim. Because if you jump inside a river that your leg will not get down and you don't know how to swim, you will die. It's not like you want to go and fish, you don't know how to fish. If you don't catch fish, you can still go back home. It does not provide you a life of survival. So don't do business if you don't go through apprenticeship where you're taught on basic principles While you are working, if you have an employment, you start learning the things that they are doing in your company, and then you eventually deploy yourself when you start working for your own self. How do you compete with the people in the world who compromise your faith? Nobody will force you to compromise your faith. Yes, people can come to you as a business person and decide to purchase things from you and ask you to please inflate the invoice. You have a choice to say, sorry, I'm a Christian, I don't do that. I will issue you invoice for the value of what I sell to you. This is a simple choice. So I don't understand that question. Maybe if we have that, we would have elaborate more on it to understand what you mean. How do the people make you to do something. You take decisions. Choices is what you make. Nobody will force you to do anything. It's a choice you make to do it or not to do it. So you can. Because you are a business person, either you have service you are rendering to somebody or you have something you are selling to him. There are different places to do business. If you're a doctor, you are still a businessman because you have patients who come to your hospital for you to administer health care to them and provide solutions to them. There's no way they can force you to compromise yourself unless you decide to compromise. I do not know whether I did justice to this question, but I answered them based on my understanding of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you unmute me? Unmute. Right. Yes. Are you now hearing me? Good. Okay. So let's go back to our system. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. I think we'll give you the last two questions. The last question, the other one is on Facebook. It says, how do you protect your cash flows and manage risks associated with recession and depression in your business? How do you protect your cash flow and manage risks associated with recession and depression in your business or company? So in the time of depression or recession, how do you protect your cash flows and manage the risks? There was another one let me check if there was another. It's the last one. Right. That is the question, the last one. I think on this one, as soon as it is appropriate, we'll need a part 2 so that we can cover for some of the things that our technical challenges robbed us of. So, if one has a huge debt and no money at all, how can you start to pay off? 2, how can you find what to do in business after brainstorming and finding nothing? Says if one has a huge debts and no money at all, how can you start paying off? And 2, how can you find what to do in business if you are brainstorming and you are not finding anything? So those are the 2 last ones that we give to you, men of God. Then I think we'll wrap up on those 2 today. Then when time permits, we'll be privileged to have a part 2 where we cover where our technical challenges robbed us. Sorry. As a message believer, how can you deal with workers who are stealing money in your business? Then a clarification on the other question is, I meant that you explain your expectation to your client and your client decides otherwise, again, fail to fulfill their commitments, you choose them away or you endure. That is the same question that was asking, how do you deal with people wanting to compromise? When you explain your expectation and the client chooses otherwise. So those are the three questions and the clarification on the other one. As a message believer, how do you deal with the workers who steal money from your business? And some of those workers may be believers, I suppose. Some of the workers may be believers who are stealing. Okay, those are the three questions. One is, how do you manage people who are stealing from your business? The other one, how do you rise from debt and pick a line that can make you bounce back? You mentioned that recession and actually bankruptcy is not the end of the story. So how do you rise from bankruptcy to bounce back into business, picking a new line that may work or the old one? Then the other one is, how do you maintain cash flows and your business strategy in time of recession when things are collapsing? Those are the three.
Okay, I think I hope if people asking this question, listening to me from beginning, and that are taking note in the things that I have said. Otherwise, if this message is recorded, I will ask them to go back to listen to it all over again. I didn't even get into detail of anything. I took resource management as my first subject, that resources are not in plenty supply. It is depletable by nature, and therefore you have to conserve it. Okay, cash flow is a king to your business because cash flow is like the bloodline of your business. No matter how big your body is, how handsome or beautiful you look as a human being, if you don't have blood in your system, you will die. If you take a blood out of a man or a woman, the person cannot live. So cash is a king. Therefore, you need an ego eye in the cash. In fact, cash flow comes more important than profit. Asset you have in the business is not as important as your cash flow, because once you can manage your cash flow, the only other thing is you are bankrupt. It doesn't matter the amount of assets you have. If you don't manage cash flow, you can't meet up obligations. And when you can't meet up obligations, then you have to close shop. There's no two way about it. So how do you manage cash flow? You need to really don't take obligations that you cannot cover. Don't overtrade. Don't be greedy in making too much money and unduly expose yourself. It's simple that you don't take commitment that you cannot discount. Business has to grow like a little baby. When you born a child, you nurture that child, you incubate that child, you take care of that child. You need all the attention that child requires. But if you born a child from day one and start sending that child a message, you can prematurely kill that child because he doesn't have the capacity to do some of the things you are doing. That's where many young people make mistakes. Once they see cash rolling into their business without looking at the future of the business and the expansion they want to make, you want to buy $150,000, $1,000 or $500 telephone. You want to live big. You want to wear expensive designer clothes and things like that. As a businessman, the dynamic of business is cash. The mechanics is the information and the beautiful offices you have. So, to run a business, number one thing you need to do, there are three things you need to do. One is that you need to have what we call purchase book. where you record everything you buy. You need to have another book where you call sales book, where you record everything you sell. It's a prerequisite, whether customer require receipt or not, that you write an invoice or receipt for every item you sell. You need to have a book where you call expenses book. You need to have another book where you call profit book. Because if you don't have this, you don't do business by just saying there are cash. Cash is there. You move around cash and spend cash. No. To do business is a little stressful. You must be prepared and be willing to do it, because there is a law that controls the business. If you listen to somebody like William Buffett, he said, why 2% only succeed out of 98%? There is something that is in common with those 2%. Out of 100% of people who want to succeed, only 2% succeed. But there is something that is in common with those 2%. If we need have time, I'll spend time explain to you. Management is not something you do by faith. Management is natural thing that you need to do. So you need to know, what did you sell in a day? How much did you make? Because you know how much you purchased those things. You wrote out the expenses you make in each day. So you will know every day how much income did you make in profit, not the sales, not the amount you sell. So you are able to know how much do you make in a week, how much do you make in a month. You cannot spend all the money you make if you want to run business and grow. You must conserve the money and reinvest into the business. And that means you cannot say because you are hungry. There is a bird that used to bring you food. Because you are hungry and the bird has not bring food, you cut the leg of the bird and eat. Tomorrow you cut the wing and eat. When you finish eating it, you are going to die. Your capital is the bird that brings you food. A businessman can never allow any financial need to make him to spend from his capital. Once you start spending your capital, you can as well write your will, because that business is going through obituary. It will die. There's no magic to it. So you have an eagle eye over your capital to protect it and manage it. So if you mismanage your cash flow, you will run bankruptcy. Now, somebody asked the question, how do you manage debt? I will advise you to do everything you can to avoid getting into debt that you cannot underwrite in the business, because it's not a good place to be. Especially where you go borrow money from bank that earn interest Saturday, Sunday, public holiday. And sometimes people do those things because they are in a hurry to grow. You have $1,000, you are doing business, you go and borrow $5,000. The interest on $500, the interest of $5,000 is like almost half of the capital you have in the business. That business is highly geared, and there is every tendency that you will default in that loan, and you will end up losing the 1,000 you own and be in debt. What you have done is that you have created a hole where you fall inside, that somebody cannot even help you to bring you out. So you should not be in a hurry to grow. You need to do business with your $1,000. If you need to borrow money, Don't borrow more than $200 if you have $1,000. So that even if the $200 have accident, if you pay it, your capital remains $800. You can still continue and manage with that $800. But when you borrow more money because you are in a hurry to grow that is bigger than your capital, if there is any accident, you are not able to pay the principal. You have totally bankrupt because you have lost all your capital. But if you are doing business with 1,000, you borrow 200, and it doesn't matter how long it takes you. Most trees that struggle the test of time find it hard to grow. If you plant a corn, it will grow very rapidly, like you plant rice. But if you plant a bamboo, it may take 2 years for you to see the shoot of it. But once it grows, it's going to stay with you for too long. Don't be in a hurry to grow your business. Learn to grow. That's why I said that success is not a matter of unplanned leadership. It requires patience to grow in a structural way. It takes time for you to. The law is that you must continue to add to your business from the income you are making, not from you for taking from the capital to eat or to maintain lifestyle. If you do that, you are going to run bankruptcy. There's no medicine to eat. Then everybody that does this play by the same rule. There's no exceptional rule to eat. So you need to manage your cash flow. You don't take a liability you cannot discount. But if you ever get into that situation, you need to own up. Go to your creditor. Don't run away. The worst thing that will happen to you is that you are owing somebody and you are hiding from that person. The more you run away, the more the person chases you. Be honorable and credible. If you owe somebody and you cannot pay him, don't wait for him to call him. Call him yourself every time. Let him abuse you. Tell him he's coming to lock you up. Tell you everything. You just tell him, I'm sorry. I know I'm owing you, and I want to admit that I'm owing you. The reality is that I have desire to pay, but currently I don't have the right means to pay, but I'm honest about it. Just understand that I'm not sleeping well because of this debt I had on you. I'm looking for things to do, and once I start doing those things, this is my plan on how to start making that payment. Because some people think it's clever thing when you owe somebody. If he call you on the phone, you will not pick. If he's looking for you, you are dodging. The more you run away, the more the person pursue you. But if you go report yourself, calling the person who you are owing, he will tell you, stop calling me. I don't want to get this your phone call again. It's my money that I need. He will relieve you from running away from calling him. But I can assure you it's not the best place to be. Don't ever do anything that will get you in that situation, because it's very uncomfortable position. Once you enter into a debt, even when some other person gives you capital for you to start business, to start earning money to repay, the person you are owing before will think it is his money you are still using and you are not paying him. So your life is really limited and messed up when you have a liability that you cannot discount. It's one thing that a life that you don't want to get to that. I don't know whether I answered the questions or I meet your expectations. Pastor, do you still hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing. Yes. Yes, thank you. Are you hearing me? Am I lying? Okay, good. Yeah. Thank you. The questions are answered very nice. There are more questions coming, but because of our time, I think we'll wrap it somewhere here. We have learned a lot, and I would encourage our viewers to go back to the broadcast. You follow it point by point. There is nuggets and nuggets, and let's apply this to our business. As he was saying about a learned person is one who can turn thoughts to productivity. So you can turn broadcasts to productivity. I learned a lot for my business also, and many principles are just parallel with scriptural principles. We are learning a lot, and we say to the man of God, thank you very much. He was here on time. Actually, he was ready to start right on time. Today it was our fault in the technical side that we did not manage. Our other team is in Harare, so we had depleted staff, but we tried our best, and we are learning from our mistakes today that will never repeat. So we promise you a better stream next time, men of God, because today we really made you go through tribulation, but you still gave us the best and the nuggets that you gave us. We learned a lot, and we say, may the Lord bless you. As we are ending this stream, I see many questions have come, but I know we'll have space in the other time. So want the men of God to rest, and I see our elder Nkata is said, thank you, Dr. Maduka, I'm answered. I believe this is a school on its own where God has provided men within the message of the hour to equip us as iron sharpeneth iron. We are being sharpened, and I believe my next day at work I'll be a different man. We learned a lot about how to manage the funds. The books that he was applying, he was talking about apply it, be able to manage without stealing from the business. We as Africans want to show a lifestyle when our business is struggling. He talked about the bird that brings the meat, that we should not take the wing and the leg. But we have learned a lot, but let's apply these things in principle. He stretched back to Genesis 1 about God's original management principle. Everything that we have, we copy it, we take it from divine principles. Now, I know all of you wanted to interact and talk to him, but I think he has given the best today. Best of content, best of his time, especially the time also that we apologize that he was on time. I think he lost a good 1 hour patiently waiting for us to be on live and to work. And again, we apologize for that. Now, as we close, let me pray and close the word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the great principles that we have learned from your servant that has labored, Lord Father, selflessly, delivering these things to transform many lives, to transform many Christians. Father, I pray that your anointing, Lord Father, will restore the virtue that has gone out of him. And also, Lord Father, though you have blessed him so much and you have blessed Koscharis, Father, I pray that you bless them even more. That, Father, they have shown as an example that there is no limit to what God can do. God is able to do super abundantly above all what we can ask. I know your children still had questions and needed to interact, but Father, I pray that you answer them, and may they also go through this broadcast and learn a lot. Father, those who are failing to launch from depression, from recession, from failures, from bankruptcy, Father, may your unseen hand help them. May they apply these principles, Father, so that they strengthen their effort in the next trial. Father, I pray in this economy where we are, in different areas in Africa, in Europe, wherever we are, may you bless your children and make them John Sherrits, that, Father, when they are blessed, they will plow back to the ministries, plow back to the communities, plow back to the underprivileged. May they make something, Lord Father, that will be an impact greater than their days on earth, that, Father, after you have blessed us, we will do something that will outlive us. Bless your children. Father, bless the pastor that you have been laboring, Dr. Maduka. He has given his best, and I really took it, Lord Father, like this is a real sharpening for us as entrepreneurs. May you bless him. May you bless, Father, his efforts. I commit everything to your hands in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. Thank you. Amen. God bless you richly. We thank you for your time. So may the Lord bless you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.